app that we will be building in this series will look something like this. We have a nav bar here with a new document button, and we have listed all the documents to the left here. If I click one of them, you will see the title here and the content, when it was created and when it was modified. If I click a new document, title, save, it will be added here, as you can see. I'll also made it possible to delete documents. So now it's time to get started coding this. Hi and welcome to Code with Stein. In this video I'm going to show you how to build a simple note-taking app using Django 3. If you like this video, please hit like and share below. This will help me grow the channel so I can make even more and better videos. The app isn't very complicated or anything like that, but it teaches you some fundamental things about Django. I will use a CSS framework called Bulma so I don't have to think about the design. I will post a link to Bulma in the description here on YouTube. I will begin by creating a virtual environment and install Django. I create a virtual environment by running the command virtual env and then the name of the virtual environment env. Notes, which will be the name of the project, and then I like to use the Python version I use here. Now that it's created, I can go into it and activate it by running source bin activate. The reason I use a virtual environment is to make it easier when I deploy the project, because then I can have a similar or identical environment here and on the server. When that's ready, I can go ahead and install Django. I want to use the newest version of Django, so then I install it by saying pip install Django. This will install 3.08, which is the newest version that Django has released. This will also install some other dependency that Django has. So now that it's installed, I can create a new project by running Django-admin start project notes. Can go into the project. As you can see here, you get a file manage.py, which is kind of the brain or the word place you use commands to do stuff to the project. Inside the notes folder you have a ASGI and a w.asgi, which is files we need for the server. Settings is just settings for the project, and URLs is kind of like a table of contents for all the pages in the project. We will learn more about this later. I will post a link to a GitHub repository where you can find all the code for this project, so you can compare the code. So now everything here is ready and I can start to create one Django app. Python manage.py start app document. The next part is to tell Django that the app exists. To do this, I have to go into the settings file, and I want to open this project first. So I have opened the project in Visual Studio Code. Inside the notes folder, the settings file, I go down to installed apps and just say document, like that. So now Django knows that the app we just created actually exists. Perfect. Everything should be ready, so we can do some coding now. The first thing I want to do is to create the database model. This should be located inside the models.py file in the documents folder. Class document, which will be the name of the database model. I want the title field, models.char field, max length 255, and I want the content field, models.text field. This can be blank and it can be null. So if you want to just create an empty document with the title, we can do that as well. Class meta, ordering equals title. Since this is a tuple with just one value, we need to add a comma here. I wanted to add ordering so that the documents or notes are ordered in by the title alphabetically. So that's how easy the database model looks like for this project. So now we can go into the command line again and tell Django to update the database, make migrations, Python manage migrate. So now all the tables should be ready. This is some default Django database models. And here you can see the document table we just created. I want to make it possible to sign into the admin page so we can see the database models there. But to do that I need a user first. I create one by saying python manage.py create super user. Use admin. And then just the password. So now that's created. And then I can tell Django inside the admin.py that we want to use the database model we just created. From .models import document. And then we just say admin.site register document. Oh, that's ready. We can say python manage.py run server. So if I just copy this address, you can see that the project is running. If I go to /admin, sign in with the user I just created, you will see that we have the documents and users. Test1, the content. Just add one test document. It was added, everything looks okay. So then the next part is to create the view. I will create a simple version of it first. So here I import the database model again. And then I create a view, def editor, request. And here I want to get the document ID from the parameters in the URL. Doc ID equals int, convert it to an int, just to be sure. Request.get doc ID, set the default to 0. Then I want to get all the documents in the database, document.object.all, and I want to create a simple dictionary to keep track of all of these. Return render request, you need to pass in that, and then the name of the template, which will be editor.html, and pass in the context. So that's basically how the view should look like for now. Then I can import this into the URLs file from document.views import editor, and I want this to be the front page of the app, so it doesn't have to have anything inside the path. The name or the view, and we give it a name here so we can reference it. We can save that. Then in the documents folder I want to create a new folder for all of the templates, and we create one called editor.html. For this project I just want one template. Just add some basic data here. Meta chars TTF8 add a viewport. Like that, and then title, notes, and I want to add the CSS framework Bulma here. Link URL, style sheet, href, https, cdn.js deliver.net, npm bulma 090 css bulma.css.min, like that. And inside the body I want a nav bar on the top. Nav bar, I want it to be dark like that. I want a logo to the left on the nav bar. And I want this to link to the front page. URL editor. This name here is this name. So Django will create the path for me. Class navbar item notes, and then on the right side of the screen I want a new button which you can click to create new documents. Div class navbar menu, div class navbar end. And then I create a button here. URL editor, it's the same as this, but I want to add one parameter equals 0. So when we go to doc id equals 0, we know that it's a new document. New document. Like that. Below here I want to create a section class section. This will make some space on the top and side of the screen. No, I don't need any blocks for this. I want a column to the left and one to the right, so I can have it's almost like this, where I have the documents to the left and the editor to the right. Class columns is 2. Left div class columns is 10. Right. I can save this and just go to the browser to test this. Okay, there's something wrong. Probably misspelled the URL here, yes. cdn.js deliver /npm bulma, should be min.css. So it looks a little bit better, but why are these on the same line? Oh, sorry. Should be like that, of course. Still doesn't. Yes, there's just a small screen. Okay, to the right here I want to list out all of the documents. To do that I want to create a menu inside here. Aside class menu, B class menu label documents, UL class menu list, And here I want to use a for loop for doc in documents. Documents there is this we just got. li href URL editor. So we just do the same as up here, but instead of saying 0 we use the doc.id. So now we want to load the document ID. We click on class. Okay, I don't need any classes yet. And here I can say doc.title. So now you can see that I have a link to the test document I create here. On the right, I want to have a big form method post action URL editor. So when I submit the form, I want to go to the same URL. The first thing we need to do inside here is to add a CSRF token. This is security from Django. And I want an empty field here for the document ID. Hidden name doc ID value doc ID. I just want to have all the data in the post request. Div class field label class label title div class control input type title text class input name title placeholder title. And if there are a document, I will show you in the views. If document, then value equals document.title like that, and if. Then we close the input field, and I also want one more field for the text area. Content text area class text area name should be content, placeholder should also be content, and then I can move that in there and say content, and also remove this like that. On the bottom I want the form button, div class field div class control button class button is primary, and say save there. Okay, when the button is done, we can go to the browser to check how it's looking. Okay, just added one too many of that. Remove it. So there it is. We have a title, a content, and a save button. And that's it for this part of the series. In the next part, I will make it possible to add documents, save them, and similar, and also do some other small things around. See you next time.